I always imagined my graduation day as a moment I'd look back on with pride. My family cheering, cameras flashing, my parents crying out of joy. Instead, when the dean called my name, the applause came from strangers. My family's seats, two front-row chairs I had reserved for them, sat painfully empty. The night before, my mom had said lightly, "Honey, you know the Super Bowl is tomorrow, right? Your dad already planned a party weeks ago. Maybe we can celebrate your graduation later. Something small." Something small. Those words sat like a stone in my stomach. I spent 4 years grinding through school, working late shifts at a grocery store to cover books, living off instant noodles, while my parents hosted barbecue Sundays and football nights like it was a religion. But I still told myself they'll come. They're my parents. They wouldn't miss this. They did. After the ceremony, as everyone rushed into their family's arms, I stood alone holding my diploma. Parents hugged their kids, some cried. Others took pictures with bouquets and giant balloons. I told myself I was used to being alone at milestones, but the truth was, it hurt like nothing else. I went back to my apartment, heated leftover pizza, and promised myself that one day I'd build a life where people showed up for me. And oddly enough, that day came faster than I expected. 2 years later, I got a job as a software developer. The salary wasn't billionaire level, but for someone who had lived counting every coin, it felt huge. I paid off my student loans, bought a decent car, and finally moved to a better apartment. My parents were proud. At least that's what they said in the family group chat. They never asked how I was, but they loved posting Facebook statuses. "Our son is a successful engineer now." They never mentioned missing my graduation. And I never brought it up. We kept a polite distance until one Saturday afternoon when my mom called. Her voice was sweet, the kind she used only when she wanted something. "Sweetie, can you come by, just for dinner? We haven't seen you in so long." A part of me softened. Maybe they wanted to reconnect. Maybe they were trying. I drove over. They didn't make dinner. They didn't even greet me properly. I walked into a living room full of sports posters, snack bowls, and a giant TV running football highlights. My dad muted the TV and cleared his throat, suddenly serious. "So, we wanted to talk to you about something important," he said. "Your mom and I are a bit behind financially." Mom jumped in. "We're not asking for a lot, honey, just a little support. Maybe a monthly contribution. You make good money now." It hit me like déjà vu. My biggest moment in life had never been important enough for them, but my bank account was. I tried to stay calm. "Why do you need the money?" Dad sighed dramatically. "Bills, and we're planning a big Super Bowl party this year. We want it to be special. You know how much we love hosting." That was it. Not medical bills. Not mortgage trouble. A Super Bowl party. I couldn't help it, I laughed. A short, bitter laugh that startled both of them. "You want me," I said slowly, "to fund your football party." Dad's jaw tightened. "Don't be disrespectful. We supported you your whole life." I looked at them, really looked at them. Supported me. I had worked since I was 16 to buy my own clothes, save for college, and pay my fees. They had always used their money on their hobbies. Football, parties, friends, their social life. Not once had they invested in me. I felt something inside me shift, something that had been quietly hurting for years. "Do you remember my graduation?" I asked suddenly. Mom blinked. "Your graduation, of course, honey, that was." "You didn't show up," I cut in. "You chose a Super Bowl party instead, and now you want me to pay for another one." They went silent. I continued. "I waited for you at the ceremony. I kept looking at the entrance thinking you walking late. You never did. I went home alone while you were grilling and watching football." Mom looked uncomfortable for a moment but recovered quickly. "Sweetie, that was just one event. Why bring up the past?" Because the past is exactly why I won't be giving you money. Dad's face hardened. We're your parents, you owe us respect. I owe you love, I said softly. I don't owe you my bank account. Mom scoffed. You're being selfish. No, I said, standing. I spent years begging for your attention. You only show up when you want something from me. So from now on, I'll show up for myself. They both began talking at once, trying to guilt-trip me, asking me if I wanted them to lose their friends, if I wanted them to be embarrassed during football season, if I wanted them to struggle. I walked toward the door. Dad shouted, "You'll regret this." I paused. I regretted waiting for you on graduation day. I won't make that mistake again. And I left. Months passed. They stopped calling. Not even a text on my birthday. I expected to feel guilty, but instead I felt free. One evening, as I stepped out of my office building, I got a message from an unknown number. It was a photo, an old picture of me in my graduation gown, taken by a classmate. Below it was a message. You didn't deserve to stand alone that day, but look at you now. You made it without them. I don't know why, but I sat on a bench and stared at that picture for a long time. It reminded me of something I had forgotten. Even when the people who were supposed to love me didn't show up, I still made it. I still became someone. Later that night, as I looked around my apartment, my life, I realized something else. Family isn't who shares your blood. Family is who shows up. And from that day on, I decided that the only people who would have access to my heart, my time, and yes, even my money, would be the ones who earned it, not the ones who chose a football game over my future.